Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of My 15 Minutes, my nightly talk about whatever I feel like. This is episode number 42 on February 11th of 2020. If you have never been here before, this is me doing 15 minutes of whatever I want to and then posting it on YouTube for a year. I'm at day 42, looking to get to day 366. December 31st of this year. We'll see. So far, so good. This is just me being 70 years old and wanting to. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do here. I do know what I want to do with the channel. What I don't know is what I want to do with all the talking that I'm going to end up doing. I want to add things to the channel here. This is the Old Folks Boogie 2 channel. And I have started my quest to find other seniors who would care to participate in Old Folks Boogie 2. Would like to, float their memoirs out there, teach something to somebody or a bunch of people. Tell about what they've learned in life, to give the life experience. There's so much that we've got, especially collectively. But hey, God, look at that. What a mess. Yeah, that's what we don't have any makeup artists or anybody to brush your hair. You got to do it yourself. And I didn't get to do mine very well, I guess. Anyway, I hope anybody that watched it enjoyed last night's story about Kate, and the reason I think I'm on at least the 83 years old, and maybe that'll be the end of it. Maybe it won't. We don't know for sure, but anyway, that was just another humorous anecdote from my life. Probably just another humorous moment. Kate was something. She was a trip. I mentioned my brother Donald last night and his issue. So maybe I'll just fill that story in tonight, because that made for an interesting Katie Rosenbaum was her name. Katie Strunk, her married name. Anybody ever listened to this and knows whatever became of Kate Strunk, the astrologer from Philadelphia, Kate Rosenbaum, maiden name. There are people who are friends of hers that would like to know what happened. But anyway, Kate and I started dating. I guess I was about 28 or 29 years old or something, and then we were living together for a while, and then everything was just fine. We weren't in anything really, really serious or anything. And one day she sprung it on me that she was moving to Florida, which was fine. I had no problem with that. We had no commitment or anything. So, I said fine, but she didn't have any way to get there, really. She had, a car, but she couldn't move all of her stuff. And her parents, although fairly well off, were not the meal ticket parents, if you want to go that route. So she talked me into, she getting a moving van or a U-Haul and driving it to Florida with all her crap in it and her two dogs. She had two Boston Terriers. Yippity little dogs, but nice enough. They weren't the end of the world dogs, that's for sure. They were just little, troublesome dogs, because you have to take them. You're on a moving trip. Well, anyway, I convinced my brother to help, to go along with it and help. Help me load, help me drive, help me unload down there, and then I forgot if he was. I don't remember what he was going to do because I had just gotten a job as a sound technician in a rock and roll band, and although that was really temporary, I had just gotten the job. I had done just a few gigs. Really, I had some training and on the boards and had done a few gigs and wasn't feeling really comfortable. But I had this thing and they knew it, and so we went on. And I had to take time to do the move and get to Florida, and the idea was that I was going to fly back because they had the person that was going to do the sound when I was away could only do it for a number of days, and then I was supposed to come back on a plane and take that job back over. And so we got to Florida, and it was late. We had Donald and I don't even remember what time it was exactly, but we started unloading the van. And Kate was there, of course. She had driven down in her car with a bunch of stuff. Why she couldn't take the dogs, to this day, I don't remember why. Because she drove herself. And I don't know why the dogs couldn't go with her instead of having to go in the van. But anyway, oh, wait a minute. Maybe, I don't even remember now. Maybe she didn't have a car at that time. Maybe she flew to Florida at that point. She didn't. Oh, that's right. She did not have a car. That's why the dogs couldn't come. So she had flown to Florida, and we drove the moving van down, Donald and I. And we got down there, and Kate met us somewhere. I don't know exactly how. But anyway, we found this place where she was moving into, and we started unloading the stuff. And about halfway through the unload, maybe even a little more, maybe almost 2/3 of the way through the unload, she had a breakdown and decided that she loved me too much to move away. And now she wanted all the stuff packed back up into the van, into the moving van, and traveling back to Pennsylvania. Yes. I mean, it seems ludicrous now. I mean, it really does. Just absolutely insane. But, I did love Kate. We weren't in love at that time, but I did love her. And if she wanted to, come back, we're going to get a house together. Blah, 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 blah. And so we did. Only I had to fly. I could not hang around. I helped load. But then the next day I had to grab a plane back to Pennsylvania. The reservations were there. The plane ticket was paid for. And I wasn't about to not try for the job that I wanted, that I had up there. And but anyway, so I did. I got back on the plane and flew back up here. And when I got back up here, it turned out the job had disappeared and gone to somebody else. I really probably, yes, it's not something I regret that I got fired. Those were my friends, and I was going to try something, but I wasn't an engineer or even close to it, a sound engineer. So, I was going to learn on the job, and it would have been a nice experience, I'm sure, and I probably would have picked it up pretty quick because I'm fairly good at that sort of thing. But in the few times that I did it before I left, I didn't do all that well at it. And so, it's fine. I definitely never had a problem with, being told that, no, I was replaced already. I regretted it only in the sense that Donald and Kate were headed back up to Pennsylvania in this truck with all the stuff and 2 dogs. And Donald and Kate, I wouldn't call them best friends by any means. And I don't think it got any better on the trip back up here. When we were on the way down, we kept the dogs in their crate in the back of the truck. But on the way up, Kate had to have them in the cab. it was not a very good thing. Um, but they made it. I think it took them 3 days. Oh my God. It's a 20 something foot U-Haul, you know, two people, two dogs, and no way to drive fast. I mean, Donald and I think took at least, we drove straight through, and I think it took us at least 24, maybe 28 hours to get from here down to Boca Raton, Florida. And because that's where she had relatives, and that's where she planned on living. So I'm sure that they, I'm sure it was like 3 days before they got back up here. And when they did, it was not a pretty scene. Oh my God, it was not a pretty scene. Interestingly, I had found a house over in Warrington, not far from where I am now. Everything's close enough, but found a house, a little rancher, and we rented it almost immediately and moved all the stuff from the van into that house, and lived there. But the move back was terrible. Donald, I don't know if he'll ever forgive me completely for that particular screw up. I hope so. But whenever he thinks about it, he doesn't think about it pleasantly, that's for sure. We've had discussions, when we get together as a family, things happen. Sometimes things get brought up of past, hurts. You remember what I did for you then? Oh, yeah. It's. But so Donald didn't have such a great time coming back. I mean, we had a good time actually going down. It wasn't that bad. Like I said, the dogs were in the back of the van. We got them out on a regular basis and got them to the bathroom and fed them and watered them we didn't spend the night with them at all because we went straight through whatever it took. But I would rather it have been me driving back with Kate than Donald, but didn't work out that way. And he has that memory. I have the memory of waiting and remember in those days there was no cell phones, there was no communication. I had no idea how to find out what was happening. I didn't have a phone at that time. We had been, Kate had moved. We had closed down that house. There was no phone there anymore. There's no house there anymore. So, we had to depend on relatives' phones, because there was no cell phone service. You could get a mobile phone, but the cost of the thing was so prohibitive. Only the rich had them at that point. Not like today. Of course, I carry more power in my hand on my computer, the one that's taking this video right now. I carry more power with that than probably the computer behind me. That probably has more power. This little cell phone probably has more power than my Mac Mini. My Mac Mini is a late 2014 Mac, so not very powerful, but powerful enough, but not great. But this phone is only a year old, and it was state of the art when it was new. So it's probably a better machine. But in those days, no, there was no cell phone. And the end of it, the way it really went down is Kate and I stayed in that house together for, I don't remember how long, 6, 7, 8, 9 months, whatever. We had a year lease, and I'm not sure if we made it to the end of that full year. But she had decided that she was going back to Florida. And at that point, I refused to move her. I said, and by this point she had gotten a car, and I said, whatever you can pack in your car and you go. Everything else we're selling out of this house. I'm not moving all this shit to Florida for you. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I'm not moving all this stuff to Florida for you. And I didn't. I was angry at that point because we had, anyway, neither here nor there. She went on to Florida. We sold everything in the house. We had a huge yard sale. It was a spectacular 3-day event. Did big money. It was fun. But anyway, my 15 minutes is now up. I can continue this at another point. But for tonight, it's time to say goodnight. Take care. Take care of the ones you love. Take care of your neighbors. And let's vote in the fall for somebody other than Donald Trump. Please, let's vote for somebody other than Donald Trump. I'm sick of the man now, really. Good night, everybody.